Today we want to talk a little bit about, does my insurance cover hearing aids?
Ooh, money.
This is a loaded question.
We're talking money, wow.
Yeah, when you talk money, when you talk insurance, it gets sensitive.
Everybody's listening now.
Okay,
you just brought up a big one.
So there it is. Does my insurance cover hearing aids?
So the majority of people we see are going to be that 55 and older. And when you hit age 65, what do you get?
You get Medicare.
Medicare. And Medicare has a few different options nowadays, right?
Right.
So for the last several years, really.
Because traditional Medicare is what people had for a long, long time. And we'll just say right off the bat, traditional Medicare does not cover hearing aids.
Yep, no coverage.
Some private insurances over the years have covered hearing aids, at least in part, some in full.
Right.
And you think about insurance, you think my insurance is going to pay a certain amount towards the hearing aids. You know, you think if I have a hearing aid benefit, the insurance is going to pay, say, 50% or 80%, and then I'll be responsible for the rest. And there are a few insurances that do that.
Yeah.
But we've seen a different movement.
Just to pause on that, especially Medicare plans that are tied to you being a police officer or a fireman, or maybe you're an educator in California. Or
union plans.
A union plan. So if your insurance and your Medicare plan is tied to what you used to do for work and different things like that, sometimes those insurance companies do pay a dollar amount to providers like us to take care of you.
Yeah, but there's been kind of a trend lately with Medicare to go to these Medicare Advantage plans.
Med Advantage plans. These PPOs.
Yeah, these plans, they're private companies. There may be United Health, there may be Select Health, maybe Aetna. These are companies that partner with Medicare to have these Medicare Advantage plans. And they're doing something kind of unique with their hearing aid coverage.
Who else do they partner with? They partner with third-party hearing aid groups.
Yeah, so that's the unique
movement. So they have different names.
movement.
Some of these names are like Nations Hearing or True Hearing or United Healthcare Hearing Program.
Yeah.
So they partner with a hearing aid group, right?
So here's where it kind of gets confusing. These hearing aid benefits are no longer, the insurance pays a certain amount, the patient pays a certain amount. These these insurance companies rather have partnered with these third parties. They partnered with these groups, and essentially what they do is they provide a program for hearing aids. That program is essentially a discount program. You have available to you hearing aids at a discounted rate, a discounted price. The insurance company's not actually contributing anything. The patient is still paying in full.
Not paying
You're
anything.
you're just buying the hearing aids through the third party.
And we're going to call these affectionately third-party hearing aid programs. So when we refer to third-party hearing aid programs, it's specifically usually a PPO or a Med Advantage or Medicare Advantage plan, and they've partnered with a third party.
Right,
and they don't pay anything.
Yeah, the insurance does not. The patient is responsible for all of the payment, but it goes directly to this third party.
Right.
And the prices usually are good. If we're looking at a positive aspect of this, the prices on these hearing aids are good. It's relatively affordable as far as hearing aids go, and it's a way for people to get hearing aids at a relatively low price.
At a discounted rate, because it's a discount.
There are some things you ought to know about these programs.
Right, so we participated in the third-party plans because when we first heard about it, we're like, hey, less money for the patient, this should be good. What happens is, in a normal, or I should say in a way that a doctor sees a patient, we just want to take care of the patient. If they have tinnitus, or they have wax problems, or they have some needs where they're listening and things seem too loud, and we just want to counsel with them and adjust the devices and do very specific fine-tuned things, we usually just do those things. But what we found out is after participating over several years with these third-party groups, we found out that the patient has to pay for every single time they come in. And they were not used to that.
In other words, these third parties kind of dictate the terms of the way we can treat a patient. They tell us how long we can treat them. They tell us how much they have to pay for copays for visits. And so although you're paying less up front, you end up feeling nickeled and dimed all along the way as you're paying for extra services and extra fees and extra copays. And it does get very frustrating sometimes on the patient end.
Because it turns out to manage an individual's ability to acclimate to sound, to feel comfortable with a foreign object in their ear canal, and to maintain a product that is super small, micro-sized, going in a dark, waxy, moist environment, it turns out that there are a lot of office visits to help a person have good hearing health or to be healthy with how they connect to their loved ones.
Yeah.
It just turns out it requires time and effort.
It does. It requires
We call it
follow-up visits.
service.
Yeah. And people are less likely to get that service if they have to pay every time
That's
for it.
what we found out, is that because we're all frugal, sometimes when you're not hearing your best, you just think, oh, these darn hearing devices just don't work. But you don't think, I should go in and get it fixed, because it's going to cost you money if you're going through these third-party groups. And that's kind of been, I think, the hardest thing with third-party, or the third-party hearing aid situation.
I agree. It boils down to, in order for these programs to be successful in an audiology clinic, they've got to do super high volume of third-party patients. You've got to see a ton of them. And if you're seeing a ton of them and you're doing very short visits for everybody, the quality of care goes way down.
Big time.
And we found as a clinic we weren't willing to make that trade. We did not want to trade quality care for quantity.
Yeah.
And we did make the conscious decision at our clinic not to participate in some of these programs.
So in 2023, so last year, we said we're going to just see what our clinic is like, how we feel, how our patients feel, if we try a different situation. So we called up the hearing aid companies and we said, we have a lot of patients that come to our clinic with these Med Advantage plans, these third-party, participating plans. So the United Healthcares, the Aetnas, the Select Healths, the Blue Crosses, some of these plans are wonderful. They cover the diagnostics great. People come in, they need to be tested, they cover that beautifully. They're great insurance. It's great insurance. But they also work through this third party to get individuals these hearing aids. So we called up the hearing aid companies and said, what can we do to offer a discount to these patients that are coming in expecting a third party hearing aid benefit discount?
Yeah.
And they were very amiable. They were very, very welcoming to this.
They wanted to help us out. And so it's kind of nice for patients that come into our clinic, if they have a Med Advantage program or an insurance that has a third-party benefit, we're able to offer significant real discounts on hearing aids.
And still provide the kind of service that we want to provide as doctors, that you as a patient, or even if we're just talking to our mom and dad, what we would want for our own parents is to be able to be taken care of in a comprehensive way, not in a very limited nickel and dime type of way. So we love this discount program that we offer. We call it a out-of-network hearing aid benefit program. So it's not in the network, it's out of network, but if you have a certain type of insurance, you're going to get a very real discount in clinics like ours, maybe others, but certainly in our clinic.
It's nice for people to have options.
Yeah.
And so if you have a Med Advantage program or a plan, it's nice for you to know you have options, but it's also nice to understand the details of those options, to know really what you're deciding between. Whether you want to participate in one of these third-party managed care situations where it's dictated how often you can come in and what devices you can get, how much everything is going to cost, or whether you'd rather have a discount on hearing aids
and go directly through the doctor.
And go directly through a doctor where you can have more comprehensive care, less managed, feel less nickeled and dimed along the way.
It's interesting. We have this slogan in our clinic, personal care, professional expertise, and we felt that professional expertise and that personal care kind of wane and diminish and be reduced when we were going with those third-party companies. And so I think this new program, in fact we know because we've just done this for a year and a half, our patients love it. They get the discount, they get the quality care, they always get to try different devices. That's something that we didn't even mention, is when you go through a third-party company directly, it's very difficult to research and find out what product's right for me, what's the right size or the right quality of sound.
Because usually there's only one option, or very limited options.
Right, and so the other thing that patients love by going directly and receiving this out-of-network benefit directly through a doctor is they can try the devices, but they always know they're trying the most current devices.
And they have options of various devices, lots of options to try.
Lots of different, we call them treatment plans, lots of different hearing treatment plans that could work really well for the patient. So I hope that helps in breaking down that we don't give you any money when you go to buy a hearing device directly through our group. Your insurance company does not give you any money when you go directly through a third party. These are both discount programs. And so really you're trying to find out what's right for me? Do I want quality care, kind of more of a comprehensive type plan? Or am I okay with more of a limited plan, being a little less money up front, but the idea that you're probably going to spend much more as you go through the 3, 4, 5-year experience down the road.
And you know, we've heard a really good analogy comparing these hearing aid
Yes.
programs to some of the airlines,
I know,
right?
I know.
I think most of us have had experience flying on a discount airline. So sometimes when you're on the discount airline, you're really trying to save money. You're really trying to do this as cheap as possible. And you realize they're going to charge me for luggage. They're going to charge me for a carry-on.
Maybe even a drink.
All of it, you know.
All the comfort stuff.
The comfort stuff. You don't even have a tray that comes down. The seat doesn't recline. It's kind of hard.
I've got an experience with this.
So you start getting
Do you
creative,
remember
right?
when I was
Oh yeah, yeah.
So a couple of years ago, my family's like, let's go to Boston as a family. And it's going to be sibling trip only. We're going to have so much fun. My brother calls me. He's like, I've got this airline and it's so cheap, but there's only one caveat. We got to get everything into a backpack. And if the backpack's too big, they're gonna charge us an extra $50. And I was like, we don't even need a backpack, Nick. And he's like, what are you talking about? We're wearing all the clothes. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, 3 pairs of underwear, 3 outfits. If it rains, and we're gonna walk in, and we are gonna get those guys.
Pockets were full of
all the treats, the granola bars. I've got my wallet over here. Where's my? I've got 3 jackets. Just, I remember just feeling like I'm the man, but guess what? I wasn't the man. I got there and I was sweating, and the plane didn't start. It didn't. It was all delayed, and we're just sitting there in our seats, and we're like, yeah, we're saving money.
We saved $50.
We saved $50. This is so fun. I would never try to save that $50 again.
Yeah.
That was the worst experience ever. And of course, all the underwear, everything's just saturated. It's like I just wanted to clean everything.
Yeah.
Terrible experience, but so fun.
Sometimes we think in our mind, I'm going to save money up front.
Yeah.
And then we regret it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you realize, okay.
3 pairs of clothes.
Sitting in the airplane seat with my puffy coat,
aren't you
full
going to
of
put
my
your
socks.
arm down, sir? I would, but I
My
cannot.
toothbrush is tucked in here, You realize this was a bad idea.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have done this.
Oh man.
So yeah, we don't want people to have that same experience with their hearing aids, right? We don't want them to think, I'm going to save a few dollars. I'm going to go this cheap route. I'm going to be miserable the whole time, and in the long run, I'm not going to save any money. It just doesn't make sense.